What is in your trophy case? By Rob Mazak. This is a very simple question on the surface. However, it takes a very in-depth reflection and great evaluation. Of course, many of us know what a trophy case is. We have all been down the halls of our schools and have seen many accolades displayed in these trophy cases. Not many of us have an actual trophy case in our homes, but we all still display our accomplishments just the same. If I were to walk in my office, or you were to walk in my office, you would see the walls and the bookshelves lined with all the massive accomplishments of my life so far. Mounted on the walls are many of my military retirement plaques that are extremely large and numerous. Scattered around them are smaller versions of the achievements that I've collected throughout my military career of over 20 years, almost 29 now. My bookshelves has hundreds of coins that were presented to me for a job well done. I have trophies, I have plaques, I have statues, I have pictures, all which demonstrate how brilliant my military career was. On the wall behind my computer are all my certifications, licenses, and everything else that allow me to operate my business. My house is covered in wonderful family photos that paint a picture of great times. In my bedroom, I have a binder that's way more than 4 inches thick that contains all the awards and training and everything I've ever done in my military career. Everywhere you go in my home, there are items all over the place that broadcast the marvelous me. Even when I leave the house in my military uniform, you can see my accomplishments by the high rank I wear in the middle of my chest, all the badges I wear on my upper left chest. Even my car has disabled veteran license plates mounted on it. I am a walking and driving advertisement for myself. When I talk to my friends, my colleagues, I always portray a wonderful accomplishment to them. I am not telling you all these things, of course, to brag about myself, although we all like to do that. I am trying to demonstrate how most human beings portray themselves. I imagine that if I go into your home or anybody's home, their car or their workspace, I will discover many of the same demonstrations of accomplishment. We absolutely love to remember the good times, and justly so. I highly doubt that any of us would display our negative times or items or our failures like it is something to celebrate. If I were to walk into your home, I don't think that I would see a divorce decree mounted on the wall in a frame. I don't think I would see a certificate for coming in 6th place. I think all that the human ego can handle is a 3rd place ribbon, maybe. No one hangs their bad times on the walls or displays them at work for all to see. Can you imagine if we were to put all those kinds of things out there for all to see? We do not want anyone to ever see that we are failures, that we are mediocre, or anything like that would make us feel weak. I am sure that you're probably thinking to yourself that this all makes perfect sense. We all display our good times and keep the hard times under tight wraps. Everyone does that, and I'm sure that is the case with everybody. But I will tell you that we all display our bad times like they are something to celebrate. Like most of us, these failures are something that we keep hidden, and we know that they're there. However, we don't display them to everybody else. Now, if I were to walk into your mind, though, and look at what you have so proudly displayed, I imagine I would see some terrible things sitting on those shelves, mounted on those walls in your mind. I am just as guilty of displaying the wrong things in my trophy case, in my mind, just like the rest of you. I have learned over the years to better recognize when my trophy case has all the great accomplishments sitting in the back collecting dust. It takes practice, because like most of you, I was clueless that I was stacking trophies of all my failures right in front of the case. Why are we our worst enemy when it comes to being all we are created to be? We would not dare say the things to others like we say them to ourselves. We all know that it is not good to chastise others, and that would always look bad when we did that. Why are we so quick to chastise ourselves and find fault from within? If we could only get out of our own way, our lives would be much better. We could go into our minds daily and rearrange our trophy case and discard all those negative displays, dust the shelves. We would be able to accomplish much greater things. Yet we continue to let our mind get filled with junk so that all the great things of our life get covered up. Our minds should look like our homes, our cars, our offices. We know that we could and would never put these things, these horrible things, on our walls. Let's stop putting them in our mind. It is time for some spring cleaning and continual maintenance. Now, this sounds like a really easy task, but I'm here to tell you that it takes some work. When I discovered my trophy case was a horribly hot mess, it took me at least 9 months to get it back to its glory, or close to its glory. Of course, this is not a finished product by any means. It takes daily maintenance, rearranging, and cleaning all the time. Some of my horrible displays were mounted with incredibly deep screws that took some real work to remove. You see, even if you think positive thoughts all day and leave all the negative junk laying around in your mind, you will never become who you were made to be. It was amazing to me how much junk I had piled up in my brain and my mind. This was over 50 years of accumulation by this point. We have all moved to a new house or an apartment, and when we move, we discover just how much junk we've collected over the years. But if we get rid of all those things that are unneeded and are just getting in the way, our new home feels so much more like a home. This is what happens within our minds. We allow all kinds of things to collect in our psyche that don't belong. They just get in the way and they bog down our emotional well-being. Another analogy that fits this scenario is a computer. When we buy a new computer, it is fast, it's efficient, and it has just what it needs and nothing more. As we use that computer and we add more and more files and programs, it begins to slow down and becomes way less efficient. All the excess files and junk on the hard drive and in the memory get in the way of all the processing. The computer must search through huge piles of files just to find its intended target. It originally had a clear highway, but now it must work through an enormous information traffic jam. So how do we start the process of creating a new display within our minds? First, let's look at how our mind is designed. There are many different resources that divide our mind into different parts, but the easiest way to envision how this works is to use the conscious and the subconscious divisions. The conscious mind is really only about 5% of our mental capacity. That can be compared to the rudder of a boat. When we look at a water vessel or a boat, no matter how big it is, the rudder is normally the most smallest part of the structure. Even though the rudder is the most small compared to the rest of the vessel, it oversees the direction of the boat. The real work and underlying process of moving the ship through the water is not done by the rudder. The rudder only provides the input, and the rest is accomplished by a much larger part of the vessel. The conscious mind has a role that is like that of a rudder on a boat. The conscious mind only provides the subconscious mind with input and direction. The subconscious mind is like a private that is given orders and proceeds with the mission that the conscious mind has given it. The subconscious mind is only doing what it is supposed to do. It's doing the real work, and it is the larger part of the mind, just like in the boat scenario. It is amazing how many of us believe that the small conscious part of our mind is really doing all the work. Not so. Let me give you a couple of examples. I know that all of us have experienced driving somewhere and not remembering any part of our trip to our destination. Remember how difficult it was to first learn to drive a car. We had to give great attention to every detail of using the gas pedal, the brakes, the mirrors, the steering wheel, the traffic around us, the blinkers, everything. This is because the conscious mind was having to do all these tasks. The subconscious mind had not yet been trained to perform these tasks. Imagine if we had to pay attention to all that with everything we do in our lives. We would be extremely exhausted within an hour. Now we can back out of our driveway with a cup of coffee in our hand, a phone in our lap, just in radio. We don't even have to think about doing all that now. Another example is how I have become a really good soccer goalkeeper. When I first started playing this position, 15 years ago now, it was like that new driver. I had to think about every movement I made. I found it hard to pay attention to how my body was moving, what decisions I was making. Watching me today, it is a quite different picture. Now I can make tremendous saves, and I don't even remember doing it. I have made some amazing saves and found myself on the ground wondering how I was able to do that. All these years of input from my conscious mind has been transferred to my subconscious to learn, store, and take over. The conscious mind is like that little tiny barking dog when it only conditions the subconscious mind to do all the work. The conscious mind is quite the marvel to control, and science will tell you that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. I'm not sure that some of your 60,000 thoughts are trying to figure out how you would filter all those thoughts to ensure all the good ones are making it to the subconscious. I can assure you that just being aware that you can control at least some of these thoughts will ensure that you are not just letting them run on autopilot. You really do become what you consistently and persistently think about. And this is true for the rogue thoughts that just run unchecked for years. If you allow a negative thought to persist, it becomes an internal part of your psyche, and we become unaware that this thought is undermining our greatness. We are unaware of why we continue to have the same experiences in our life, why we keep repeating the same mistakes, or why we cannot seem to succeed in the things we choose to partake in. These deep-rooted thoughts are not permanent, but they do take work to remove once they are buried deep. We may not even know that they are there and must do some intense detective work to uncover these thoughts and to deal with them. The beautiful thing is that positive thoughts are much more powerful than negative thoughts. This trophy case is normally displayed within our conscious mind, and the display is designed and maintained by our conscious minds. We now know that we should provide new input to the subconscious mind to help create a new trophy case display. This process may take some time to complete and is similar in many ways to how we lose weight. When we become overweight, it does not happen overnight, and it certainly is not corrected that fast either. Losing weight takes probably as much time as it took to gain the weight as it does to lose it. Fortunately, we can create a new trophy case at a faster speed than it was created if we were willing to put in the work. However, it will not happen overnight. Another wonderful fact is that our imagination is a powerful tool. Our subconscious does not know the difference between our reality and what we mentally visualize. We can truly create our own destiny and achieve all that we could ever imagine. But the process is like training a muscle. The muscle only stays as conditioned as the training provides for that muscle. If you stop the positive information flow to the subconscious, then the trophy case begins to collect junk and dust again. You must continually train those muscles, and you need to continually and consciously train your subconscious mind. If you don't use it, you will lose it. The idea is that developing a habit of positive thinking and powerful visualization will empower your life and your future. The only true way to develop a new habit is to perform the habit enough times that it just becomes automatic and easier for you to manage. Most people start on a journey and create a new trophy case, but soon get discouraged because they don't see results fast enough. That is why the self-help section in the bookstore usually has the largest collection of books. Most people look for that quick fix that just does not exist. If greatness was easy, then everyone would be great. Make sure you are shining up the right trophy.